The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki stand as poignant reminders of the catastrophic consequences of warfare, forever etched in the annals of history. These twin tragedies, occurring within days of each other in August 1945, marked the culmination of years of intense conflict during World War II. In this detailed historical account, we delve into the events leading up to the bombings, the harrowing aftermath, international reactions, Japan's path to recovery, and the enduring legacy of these fateful days. By mid-1945, World War II was entering its final, bloody stages. The Allied forces, led by the United States, United Kingdom, and Soviet Union, had been engaged in a relentless campaign against the Axis powers, comprising primarily Germany, Italy, and Japan. However, despite suffering significant losses on multiple fronts, Japan showed no signs of surrender. The Japanese military, imbued with a fierce sense of nationalistic pride and loyalty to the emperor, vowed to fight to the bitter end. The Allies faced a dilemma: how to compel Japan to surrender without incurring massive casualties in a full-scale invasion of the Japanese home islands. It was against this backdrop that the Manhattan Project, a top-secret endeavor aimed at developing nuclear weapons, reached its culmination. The successful testing of the first atomic bomb in July 1945 paved the way for a fateful decision that would alter the course of history. On the morning of August 6, 1945, a B-29 Superfortress bomber named Enola Gay, piloted by Colonel Paul Tibbets, took off from the island of Tinian in the Pacific Ocean. Its payload, Little Boy, a uranium-based atomic bomb with the explosive power of approximately 15,000 tons of TNT. The target, Hiroshima, a bustling industrial city and key military center in western Japan. At precisely 8:15 a.m., Little Boy was released from the Enola Gay and descended toward its target. At an altitude of approximately 1,900 feet above Hiroshima, the bomb detonated with an immense flash of light, unleashing a fireball hotter than the surface of the sun. Within seconds, the city below was engulfed in a maelstrom of destruction, as buildings crumbled, and fires raged unchecked. The immediate impact was catastrophic. An estimated 70,000 people were killed instantly, and tens of thousands more suffered horrific injuries from the blast and intense heat. The city's infrastructure lay in ruins, and survivors wandered through the smoldering rubble, dazed and disoriented. Little did they know that their ordeal was far from over. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb, Fat Man, was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. Despite being a more mountainous terrain compared to Hiroshima, Nagasaki still suffered immense devastation. The bomb killed an estimated 40,000 people immediately, with the final death toll rising to over 70,000 due to injuries and radiation exposure. The decision to use atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki was not taken lightly. President Harry S. Truman, who had assumed office following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt in April 1945, grappled with the weight of this momentous choice. Ultimately, he and his advisors concluded that the use of atomic weapons was necessary to bring about a swift end to the war and avoid the need for a costly invasion of Japan. Proponents of the bombings argued that they saved countless lives by compelling Japan to surrender unconditionally. They pointed to the ferocious resistance encountered by Allied forces in previous island-hopping campaigns, such as the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa, as evidence of the potential bloodshed that would accompany an invasion of the Japanese mainland. Critics, however, have questioned the moral and ethical implications of targeting civilian populations with weapons of mass destruction. They argue that the bombings constituted a disproportionate act of violence, given Japan's already weakened state and the availability of alternative strategies for ending the war. In the wake of the atomic bombings, Hiroshima and Nagasaki resembled scenes from a nightmare. Entire neighborhoods lay in ruins, with survivors emerging from the rubble, their bodies charred and their faces etched with expressions of disbelief and horror. Medical facilities were overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the carnage, and supplies of food, water, and medicine quickly dwindled. Those fortunate enough to survive the initial blast soon faced another insidious threat: radiation sickness. The atomic bombs had unleashed deadly levels of ionizing radiation, causing acute symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, and hair loss, followed by long-term health effects, including cancer and genetic mutations. Amidst this unfolding tragedy, acts of heroism and solidarity emerged. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to treat the wounded, often at great risk to their own health. Ordinary citizens volunteered to search for survivors and provide comfort to the grieving. And in unimaginable devastation, a flicker of resilience and hope endured. In the aftermath of the atomic bombings, Japan faced a daunting task: rebuilding a nation shattered by war and radiation. The road to recovery would be long and arduous, fraught with economic challenges, political upheaval, and social reconstruction. With assistance from the Allied powers, particularly the United States through the Marshall Plan, Japan embarked on a comprehensive program of reconstruction and reform. Cities were rebuilt, industries revitalized, and infrastructure modernized. The Japanese people, renowned for their resilience and work ethic, embraced the task of nation-building with determination and resolve. Over time, Japan emerged as an economic powerhouse, known for its technological innovation, manufacturing prowess, and global influence. The scars of war gradually faded, replaced by a vision of a prosperous and peaceful future. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki elicited a range of reactions from world leaders and the international community. While some hailed the bombings as necessary to end the war and save lives, others condemned them as unjustifiable acts of aggression. In the United States, public opinion was largely supportive of the bombings, viewing them as a decisive blow against a ruthless enemy. However, voices of dissent emerged, calling attention to the moral and ethical dimensions of using atomic weapons against civilian populations. Internationally, the bombings sparked widespread condemnation and soul-searching. Many questioned the morality of targeting non-combatants and the long-term implications of nuclear warfare. The specter of mutually assured destruction cast a dark shadow over the post-war world, as nations grappled with the existential threat posed by nuclear weapons. 75 years have passed since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, yet their legacy endures. For Japan, the bombings are remembered as tragic events that claimed countless lives and inflicted untold suffering. They serve as a solemn reminder of the horrors of war and the imperative of peace. Every year, on August 6 and 9, Japan observes solemn memorial ceremonies in Hiroshima and Nagasaki to commemorate the victims of the atomic bombings and reaffirm its commitment to peace and nuclear disarmament. These ceremonies attract dignitaries, survivors, and people from around the world, serving as a poignant reminder of the need to prevent such atrocities from happening again. In the decades since the bombings, Japan has emerged as a beacon of peace and reconciliation, advocating tirelessly for nuclear disarmament and global cooperation. Its journey from the ashes of war to the forefront of the international community stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of hope. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain searing reminders of humanity's capacity for both destruction and resilience. They represent a watershed moment in history, marking the dawn of the nuclear age and forever altering the course of global affairs. As we reflect on the events of August 1945, let us not forget the countless lives lost and the enduring legacy of suffering left in their wake. May we strive, now more than ever, to build a world where such horrors are consigned to the past, and where the pursuit of peace and justice reigns supreme.